Do you remember this from last week?
Oh, yeah.
This week we're talking to Justin. This is Life Bus. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Matt. It's great that you could join us today as we hear another story of a real life, everyday person just like you or your neighbour. And this week, he was in the studio last week, but we get to hear his story today. Justin, welcome today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Justin, take us back. Thank you for coming in. Take us back in your story. Where did life start out for you?
So I was born and bred in Melbourne. Went to school in Essendon, a school called Pegs. People often think that's pretty funny that a school is named after something you put on a clothesline.
So is it like short for something?
Yeah, so it stands for apparently an Essendon Grammar School.
Okay.
Yeah, so that the junior campus was in Essendon, and then I went to school in East Keilor, the secondary campus. So, went all the way through to kindy to year 12 there. My dad is actually from Lobethal, mum from Mount Barker.
Okay.
So here we are in Adelaide, a bit of family roots.
Back to where it all began for the moment.
Yeah.
What was life growing up like in Melbourne?
Generally great. I loved it. There was definitely no shortage of things to do. There was always lots of opportunity, and the school I went to was very big on an opportunity on sport or academics, or there was always things happening, always things going on. And mum and dad would always be pretty active in taking us out on the weekend to do family stuff, family bike rides or different things like that. Followed the footy pretty closely. Mum and dad both being from Adelaide, I was brought up to go for Adelaide. So in Melbourne, I was a bit of a
minority.
Yeah, a bit of a minority. Yeah. So so that was always interesting.
Build some resilience.
That's right. Yeah, got to get resilience early on.
Yeah.
Sitting next to you, however, we better point out, if people didn't watch last week's, if you didn't, go back, watch it again, is Dancing Dan as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about how he comes into the picture as time goes on. Yeah,
and we should say too, stay with us because later on we are going to see these guys bust a few moves and teach you a few dance moves along the way. Dance is a part of this story as well. But before we get there, growing up, going to school, you talked about being into sport at the school, those kind of things. Was sport one of the things that was a big part of your life?
Reasonably. I suppose I did Auskick, used to do Auskick and then Saturday morning swimming, played a bit of tennis. So I suppose generally we were encouraged to give everything a go. That was kind of the thing. I wasn't overly athletic. I was definitely always one of the shorter kids. But I was always keen to give things a go. Life was, it was busy. There was definitely no shortage of things to do.
What about other siblings around you?
Yes, I've got a younger brother, Elliot. He's 2.5 years younger than I, and we were very close and still are. Used to do a lot together. We had a park like next door to our house, and so that was a real godsend, being able to hang out there. And it was definitely a lifesaver. And I suppose we also kind of grew up in the era of video games a lot coming, and so we used to look forward to that and do that together and that kind of thing. So pretty typical, really. It was sport, video games, and whatever else mum and dad told you to do.
So what was the first video game console that you guys got?
Oh gosh, I reckon I think getting the Game Boy, that was pretty good. Pokemon Gold and Silver back in the day. Yeah, I remember that. So we got the Game Boy. I remember, we weren't quite old enough to get a console yet, so we got given the Game Boy, and I think it was the Game Boy Advance, and then the SP, and then I still remember the Christmas time we got our first Xbox. It was a big day. So it's pretty mind blowing,
Yeah, every teenager, every child has a different story growing up and finding their identity. How did you find those teenage years and in school? Was it something that you sailed through, or were there some challenges along the way?
Yeah, I loved junior school. Loved my primary years. Have very fond memories of that, and still do with teachers and kids I grew up with. Sorry. The early years, like kind of, I suppose like 13 to 15, I actually found like very difficult. For various reasons, I suppose. Yeah, it was on that path to self-discovery, and wasn't really sure, where I fitted in terms of what I was interested in, or like friendship groups, and then the school, what they were kind of heading towards. It was everything was happening, and it was all kind of happening very quickly. And I suppose at that time, I kind of remember feeling everything felt very emotional, and you weren't really sure what you were processing and what it all kind of meant. So definitely the early teen years were very forming and very, I suppose, intense but memorable in a different way, I guess. Yeah.
Mm. And what got you through those years? What kept you going and helped you, get through to adulthood?
Yeah. I think part of it was a level of consistency. So even though I didn't know like what I thought or what other people thought, or what I felt, at least I knew I had to be at school at 8:00, and then sometimes that was helpful. I think also like Sunday church was really helpful. That was something that was it was consistent, and I think it's important to have those consistent boundaries sometimes when everything does feel a little bit all over the place and you're not sure what to do. At least there is some sort of plan, and that kind of can help. It gives you space to explore things. I was going to a youth group when I was between like 13 to 15, and didn't think much of it at the time. It was very low key. It's like there's only 10 of us or so, very low key, Sunday morning kind of thing. Didn't really think a lot of it. But it eventually led to going on a camp, which, really did change a few things. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about the camp. Where did you go? What type of fun activities did you get up to?
So the camp I ended up going to was this camp called CLW, Christian Life Week. Okay. And it was held in Halls Gap in the Grampians. It was... It was definitely like something that was a bit out of my comfort zone. Didn't really know a lot of people there. I think I knew like 2 people from the youth group that were going, and it was where I suppose experienced a Christian community in a way that I hadn't before, and it gave me a lot of support, a lot of encouragement. It kind of gave me hope for a life that was outside of what I was experiencing at school, and kind of gave me a whole fresh perspective on. I suppose also young adult life. There was some really supportive young adults there, and that were just incredibly loving despite not knowing me at all. And I was a bit kind of blown away by it. But it just it helped give perspective, and it gave me a lot to think about. Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You went to a Christian school?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay.
Oh, not explicitly.
Okay.
We used to go to to church for Easter and Christmas kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we I think, and that was connected, I think, with the Uniting Church. So it wasn't explicitly a Christian school. Wasn't explicitly not a Christian school. But yeah, it was just a private school in Essendon. Yeah, great school. Yeah, but yeah.
Well done at going to a camp where you like hardly knew anybody and had to step completely out of your comfort zone in these things.
Yeah. Well, to be brutally honest with you, I think I partly went because I was a bit keen on one of the girls that was going. So I was like, if she's going, then I might go as well, you know. Kind of how these things happen. Yeah, that's right. And so, unfortunately that didn't work out.
It worked out for the best.
That's right. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, so, that just opened my mind to a broader community. And but at the time, I took it as a once-off. To be honest, I took it as like, that was a really, really good week. But here we go back to normal life, and it kind of did. That's kind of is what happened for another year. Kind of went back into normal life per se, and I was at youth group and things, but I took it as a really positive experience. And at that time in my, I took it as a once in a lifetime experience in my 14 years of life. You know, because it was at the time. So, yeah.
Well, we will be back with more Life Bursts, chatting to Justin straight after this.
On Life Burst, we are chatting to Justin. And Justin, significant moments as a teenager, going to a camp, and then you carried on through secondary school. Big moment, something significant happened for you in Year 12.
Yeah, so it was in the summer of that transition of Year 11 to Year 12, and we were in Coolangatta, as we often go there as a family over the summer. Nan and Granddad have a bit of holiday apartment up there. So we used to go as a family. And I remember I just had this urge, for whatever reason, to watch a hip hop movie. It would often be the norm that my brother Elliot and I, we would walk to the local Blockbuster and just hire some movies. As you guys know, up north near the Gold Coast there, they can often have some great weather, but you can also get like 3 or 4 days of just rain, And so
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was one of those where, there was a couple of days of rain due, so we're like, let's go hire some movies, And for whatever reason, I was like, I never really watched a lot of dance movies. So I ended up watching Step Up.
Oh, that was totally going through my mind. I was like,
Yeah.
I reckon it's going to be Step Up.
Yeah.
Great movies, aren't they?
Yeah. So I ended
love
up
those
watching Step
movies.
Up. And for whatever reason, was quite captivated by the energy of dance for different reasons, like the music, but also the way in which people were, like moving to the music, but also like using music in a certain way to show something, or to show emotion, but also the way in which the story was intertwined with that. I don't know, I suppose like the whole package of it, the unity, different areas of hip hop particularly. So then I went back and hired Step Up 2 and 3 and watched them pretty quickly.
Very good movies.
Yeah. And so I suppose that was just like a bit of a spark of inspiration. I was always into music, but there was definitely something that happened that night when I just like plugged it into the computer and something ordinary turned into something extraordinary. But I didn't think that at the time. Like I felt something that was, I felt that about different things before, like you get into different things and growing up, you try different things. But I suppose it was over time that it showed its importance. Yeah.
I remember when Step Up came out, and like everybody was trying to do that. You're too old, Matt, but everybody was trying to do those moves and trying to do those things.
We can check out Sarah's moves later in the show, so hang around for that. But you went back. That was probably summer holidays, was it? You went back into year 12, and dance became a part of your schooling.
Yeah, so I got back into year 12 and I still kind of had this dance bug with me. I was like, this was a couple of weeks later, I was like, I've got to do something about this. And so at the time, there was a couple of things that happened. The first thing was that it happened to be a Rocker Stedford year, which meant that it was kind of a battle of the schools kind of year. And they used to do it biannually. And I thought, I actually tried Rocker Stedford in year 10 and didn't really like it because there weren't like a lot of guys doing it. And I just felt very alone and I remember going up to the teacher at the end and being like, I'm so sorry, but I just don't think it's for me. And he's like, it's all right. It's all right. You kind of and that was it. And so I'd kind of given dance a go, but this had given me a fresh kind of inspiration. And the first, what would you call, like tryouts or rehearsal or whatever, happened to be after school. But I remember it being like a kind of an awkward time. It was like 5 o'clock. And so I decided to hang around at school afterwards because there was no point in going home. I think I went and got some food. Anyway, I went into the dance like studio space after school, and there was this guy there like doing the windmill. He was just practicing as I was walking in the room, and I was like, oh, that looks like something I saw out of Step Up or something. I was quite captivated by that, and I got talking to him. And a few days before that, I'd done a bit of Googling and was just like looking up hip hop classes. And I said, do you know of like Passion Studio in the city? And he's like, dude, I go there every Saturday, And so I just connected with this guy, Michael. And throughout year 12, we would go to this space. We technically shouldn't be there because should have been like teacher supervised, but we kind of went there and we used to just practice, and he would teach me how to break dance. And he was very determined. He was very diligent, and he would really push me to kind of like, come on, man. Cause he'd been doing it for about 1.5 years, 2 years at that time. And so he was quite ahead of me because he was so driven. And so I was like kind of playing catch up. But I really like enjoyed that time. And at the time it was quite strange, like, cause he was in year 11, I was in year 12. And so we both, in school, most people hang out with the kids you're in the year level with. But he was the only one doing breakdance. I was the only one who wanted to learn breakdance. So it just kind of happened. I think I ended up doing Rocker Stedford because of like the work commitment of year 12, but I was like, oh, well, let's just hang out. And so a lot of the school time, the lunch times were spent working towards something for the year 12 formal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
Love
can
it.
we ask,
Go.
come formal, how did that pan out? How did that go?
I'm pretty sure it was. We were waiting
Talk
for.
us through. Talk us through.
I could see, yeah.
Rock up.
Tell us.
Well,
Do it.
yeah, we had a bit of. We had like I remember we had like 3 little we call them sets, which were like a set of little mini routines that we had planned.
Okay.
And we were waiting for the right song, but it didn't really come. and he was like, "Let's just do it to this song." And it was like Rihanna. It was like, "Want you to make me feel like I'm the only guy in the world." And I'm like, "This isn't like a hip hop song." And he's like, "Dude, we're gonna run out of time. Just do something." And so we decided to start dancing. We just formed like this freestyle circle, freestyle circle where people were getting in and doing a few funny things. And gosh, I remember like stuffed up quite a couple times, but no one really expected it because we kind of been practicing in secret. So that was a bit of fun. I quite enjoyed that. I had quite fun. Pretty sure I got that on camera somewhere. but yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, so it was a good time.
So as you had your formal, you finished year 12, did you at that point think dance is going to be a part of my future, or were there other paths that you felt you needed to take?
Yeah, so at that time I was all passion and no practicality. I was I was really loving it, but like getting into dance was so new for me at that point. I was dancing during lunchtime once, and 2 weeks out of year 12 broke my thumb, and I had to type my year 12 exams, and it was dancing. But I remember thinking, am I going to be able to like break dance again? And that was great concern. Obviously, for mum and dad, they were concerned about my study, and I was too. It was been a really hard year academically, and worked really hard, but I remember being very concerned about that. But the norm, especially like the school I went to, was to go to university, and I suppose that was also the norm for me and what I expected. But there's no such thing as a degree in hip hop per se, at least here in Australia. So I was a bit not sure what to do. But just by chance, one of the teachers who I had met that year posted something, and it was to do with a company called Indigenous Hip Hop Projects. And I was like so wowed by what they did. It was just like their promo video they put on Facebook. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. These guys are working with youth using hip hop. Mm-hmm. And it was something where like the passion could finally make a little bit of sense with the practicality of life and how it all kind of works. And so I was kind of leaving school and I was like, oh, what am I going to do? So I ended up doing social work because I thought, okay, maybe I could use dance to help children, help youth. And at the time thought that was like my aspiration was to go on to work for Indigenous Hip Hop Projects. And so at the time connected with them on a camp and was once again kind of blown away by things and that. So that's where I was at the end of year 12. I was like, going to help kids through dance. Don't really know what exactly it's going to look like, or, I thought it was going to be with them at the time. And, they were a big inspiration, still are. So, yeah.
Awesome. So you had that kind of leaning, that direction, but you didn't end up with working with them.
That's right. Yeah. So I got into uni and connected with the RMIT Funkadelic Dance Club, and that was a really good training ground. Like, so ended up being at uni for 5 years in the end, and that was a time of like you could compile it into a training montage. We were practicing a lot, and I was super inspired by the people there. But when I was 19, I went back to that camp that I spoke about in the previous segment.
Oh yeah, at Hall's Gap.
At Hall's Gap, yeah. So I'd been going there like every year, like once a year through my teen years. Mm-hmm. And so when I was 19, I had this opportunity to go back as a leader to help run the camp, and was super stoked to be part of the team.
Why did you choose to do that? You could have said no.
I was just at this point, I'd now done the camp 4 or 5 times, and was like, nah, this is a great thing, and I wanted to, I suppose, give back to the youth. Me being 14 was still very fresh in my mind. And so I was like, I want to, be a part of that. Still love going. And at the time, there's I knew more people. So I was like, it's almost a bit of a no-brainer, really, to do it. And it was during September school holidays, and so it kind of all made sense. And so I found myself back at this camp. And so at this time, dance and God, very two different things. I suppose I was still of faith, still going to church on a Sunday kind of thing. And I and dance was a big part of my life. It was a Wednesday afternoon, and we were doing what we call like service activities. So we're just out helping the local neighbor, doing different things. And our little small group that I was a part of was we finished early because we were told to help next door, but next door had already cleaned up their yard, and I don't think got the memo that we were coming. So finished that early and said, go back into the hall, go help those guys out. Went into the hall, and my friend Greta was like sorting through this old pile of like magazines and newspaper. And she said, hey, Jussie, come over and help me with this. Like, I've got this massive pile. I'm on my own. I was like, all right, fine. I'll come help you out. Sorting through this massive pile of stuff. And she goes, hey, this looks like something you might be interested in.
And we're going to stop right there, and we'll be back to find out what it is straight after this on Life Verse with Sarah and Matt. So what did you find in the pile?
Well, yes, there was a number of different books. And but all of a sudden, Greta just goes, hey, Justin, have a look at this. And so I was kind of looking the other way, turns and gives it to me. And it was this book right here, Real. And I was like, oh, this looks very hip hop. So that's what she thought. She said, oh, this is very dance hip hop.
Explain to us what it looks like for those who are listening rather than watching.
Oh, yeah. So it just looks like a magazine, but with some very stylish people on the front that are very, they've got the hip hop.
Bit of bling.
Yeah, a bit of bling. They've got the hip hop flavor on,
Yeah.
And
keep it up.
And at first, that's what I thought it was. But as I had a bit of a closer look, it was actually the New Testament, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. But as I looked further, I realized it actually came with a Christian hip hop CD at the back of it.
Let's have a look. Can I have a look?
Oh, it's not actually there anymore.
Oh no, but no. I just want to look at the magazine. I think it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. No, let's see. That's the magazine there.
So
and,
it's a Bible.
It is a Bible, yeah.
Bible,
It's the New Testament. And this was a bit mind-blowing for me because I didn't think like there was the genre of Christian hip hop, or maybe I'd been living under a rock, I don't know. But at the time it was like there's artists today like Lecrae and that they all kind of still come up the ranks. And like in America, I'm sure people heard about it, but here in Australia, it's pretty on the down low. And so I was this was the first time I'd sat down and really read the Bible for myself. Like I said, I grew up in the church and had a lot of positive influence on me in that way. But finding myself in uni, I was challenged and challenged by people around me. And yeah, you once again, you're kind of going into adulthood, you're making those decisions, and faith, what you believe and what you believe to be true really does impact the decisions you make. Mm-hmm. And so this was I was kind of as I was searching, I guess, in some regard when I look back on it. And I'm a very black and white kind of person. Can you tell? Very black and white kind of person in terms of, is this true or is it not true? And I suppose I was in a little bit of a hunt to find truth and to seek that out. And so I remember, reading through it and being a little bit, whoa, is that in there? What does that mean? Had a lot of questions. And so fortunately there were people around me who I could ask different questions too. But that was, I suppose, the time when dance and faith first took a step towards each other.
Okay.
How did you feel inside of you when you picked up this magazine and you're reading it and then all this other stuff, all these questions and everything, and you started to come a bit closer? How'd you feel inside?
It felt familiar, but unfamiliar enough to still be incredibly exciting. Okay. So there was a part of it that felt like, oh, this is really me, but also a part of it that was like, this could be who I want to be. So it was a perfect blend between where I was at, but also where something that I could look at and be like, oh, I get there or something. I suppose that when I grew up, I was always very goal orientated and very achievement based. It's just kind of a bit of my personality perhaps, and how I was brought up and different things. But I suppose I looked at it and I suppose I felt inspired. Wanted to kind of see what was all. I just wanted to keep going into it. I felt like I was onto something that was a bit of a gem. It was a bit of a treasure that, for whatever reason, it popped out to me, and I suppose that was worth going after.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were still doing social work at the time? You're still studying?
Yeah. So at the time I was at uni, and got involved in the dance club. And at that time also got involved in the salsa club. And so that kind of also broadened my horizons in terms of different dance styles. And really loved that. And so I had a great time at uni. At the time, I was doing the social work degree and was determined to finish that. Even though like dance and social work, like the connection often wasn't made, at uni. Like it's such a specific thing. And so I decided to, like kept going with uni, kept dancing, and kind of just kept. It was just a very much a one step at a time thing, and was learning a lot, and kind of figuring out where I fitted into things. You'd come across things and be like, oh, that's mostly me, but it's also kind of not. And eventually, through Christian Union, I ended up in an event called NTE, the National Training Event in Canberra.
Okay, what's that?
What?
I've never heard of that before. What's that?
So basically, what it is it's an event put on to train or to equip uni students who are exploring Christian faith and to come together as one community from different universities, as a social thing, but to learn more about Christian faith and to equip people to then share that with other people. And at the time, it was a little bit of a no-brainer as well to go because my friends were going. And I remember that the first seminar or like the first talk that was given was a little bit, I suppose it was evangelistically focused. And the guy heading it up, I think he still does, his name is Richard Chin. And he, I remember there was maybe like 2,000 like uni students there. And it's held where they have, I think it's where they have like Summer Nats in Canberra, a big convention center. And they had like tables of 10 people, spread out in this massive like hall. And he happened to be on the table, like 2 tables across from me. I kind of see him from a distance. And for whatever reason at this time, so once again, like dance and faith had kind of been bubbling away. And something that he said in his talk inspired me to think about, how could dance and faith connect? So I went and approached him. And, he seemed pretty busy in conversation. But for whatever reason, I felt prompted to go and speak to him at that time. And I said, hey, do you know anything about dance and faith? Those two things on, in mission, in using it in faith. And he stopped and he thought about it for a sec. And I thought, he's not going to say it. He's going to be like, no, got no idea. That's what I thought he was going to say. And he said, have you heard about the OM Logos ship?
Okay.
And I said, no, I haven't. And he said, well, there's different artists on board that ship. That there's actors, and he's like, I think there's dancers, and he said you should Google it up. Anyway, so camp went on, and when I got home, I did, and I found what they call like a short-term like outreach, so like a short-term trip, and it was in Portugal, and it was using dance. It was other people who were of Christian faith coming together to share dance. And I was like, whoa, I suppose I'm going to that. It just that's just where it happened to be. That was the outreach opportunity. And so when I was, must have been about 23 by this point, decided that I would do this outreach in Portugal. And we all met at a conference called Transform. And this was actually in Rome. And so there was different, a bit like Richard was saying, there was different artists and different people with different skills. So there was skaters, there was parkour people, there was surfers. And the idea that we would all meet in Rome for this conference for a place to worship God, but also to learn more about God, to then go into different cities around the Mediterranean and do what we love to do and express that through faith.
Wow, okay.
That's huge.
It is, yeah. So what was life like then being for that time on the ship and then in Portugal what was the experience like for you?
Yeah, so I actually never ended up doing the ship.
Oh, you didn't do the ship?
No, I actually didn't do the ship and still haven't. I don't know if I ever, I don't want to cancel it out.
Still got your land legs.
Yeah, that's still got land legs. But I suppose that's what a lot of people would know OM for is that the ship ministry.
So that drew you to Rome though, that conversation.
Yeah. So and at the time, because I was still at uni, I couldn't like the ship. I think is like a 6-month a year kind of commitment thing. So this kind of was a good taster, and it just felt like the next step. And I was like, well, don't know anything about this, so let's go to Rome. Managed to fit it in, and so I found myself in Rome with a couple other dancers, and was super excited about the whole thing. Was very excited about it. And, I remember I'd been practicing and didn't really know what to expect. Just thought I should come prepared. So I found myself on the Monday practicing the routine and was probably a bit over keen was very keen to give it my all. And but the next day, gosh, I could hardly get out of bed. Yeah, I remember there was a few steps leading to the room we were staying in, and I thought, oh my goodness, it feels like I've been stabbed in the quad 3 times with my right leg, and was feeling a little bit, I suppose, disheartened, beating myself up a little bit, like, oh, should have stretched on the plane, or should have been a little bit, had a bit more self-control, or whatever it was. Maybe I didn't, maybe it wasn't fit enough. Lots of ideas were going through my head. And also, I suppose, ideas of, am I supposed to be here? Was this all a big waste of time and money? Yeah, wasn't really sure what to do. Didn't really, and felt kind of ashamed. Didn't want to talk. Didn't want to tell anyone about it. And I was like, oh, well, it's just an injury. People get injured. It's not really a big deal. And I suppose had that mindset of, I'll get by somehow, figure something out. Anyway, so I got to Wednesday, and we went into the city of Rome. We caught like the bus coach. We all went together. And I remember, stepping down those like steps on the bus thinking, oh, it's going to be a long day. Better just take some Panadol or something, just push through it. And so I went to Roma Termini, which is like the Melbourne Central Station of Rome, or like, the main kind of area of Rome there where all the trains come in. Sitting down, having a muffin. There was a group of 10 of us, so we didn't really have anywhere to sit. So I'm pretty sure we were just sitting on the ground somewhere in the corner. And my friend, there was a lady there by the name of Helena, and she was from Russia. She was a contemporary dancer. And she just sits next to me and she says, Justin, how you going? And I remember just responding like a lot of people do when you say, how are you? I just said, oh yeah, I'm all right. How are you going? Didn't really think much of it. But for whatever reason, she could tell that something wasn't quite right. She was someone, I suppose, who was very good at reading people and being very empathetic. And so she asked me again, how are you really going? As opposed to like, come on, you're not being 100% real here, And I said, oh, well, to be honest, I'm a bit worried, actually. I'm a bit worried about my leg, because, the plan was to go and dance on the street in Rome that day. And, I was really looking forward to that. It was our first outing, I suppose, as a group, doing what we love to do. And it was the moment.
Well,
that I was going to look forward to.
Okay, well, we'll pause there and come back. We are chatting to Justin. This is Life Burst with Sarah and Matt. This is Life Burst. Justin has left us hanging. You're in Rome. You're at the train station, and you've got an injured leg. You're about to launch into this a week of dance.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Well, so here I was sitting at this train station with Helena, who was having a chat. And but she then became aware of this injury that I had, and her response really kind of blew me away in terms of like, most people would say, "Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. You'll be fine." Like that's generally the conversation that you would have with someone who's you kind of express empathy and then you try and support them, and that's life goes on. And but her response was quite different to what I expected. She actually said, "Is it all right if I pray for you?" And I was like, yeah, sure. And when she said that, like, I thought she meant, like pray for you from a place of empathy, which would make total sense. But she was actually talking specifically more about my physical injury. And so I think she said, yeah, like, is it okay if I pray for your leg, And I said, yeah, sure. Like, can't hurt, right? It already hurts. So, can't hurt. And so she said, in the name of Jesus, I command your leg be healed. And it worked. And I said, and so I got up and I was like, whoa, it worked. I did a bit of stretching and I was like, whoa, it worked. And she wasn't actually too surprised, and she responded by saying, it's because Jesus is alive. And for that, at that time, that really hit me in a way it's never hit me before, I guess. I went from like something that I knew to something, that became like really real in here. But in a sense that it really, God was like with us in that moment. He was there. And it was almost like, it was like a touch of the Father that I never felt before, in a way that was, I suppose, more tangible than I ever felt before. So there was like different emotions going on at the time, and times of like, am I just, doubt. Like, am I imagining this? Is this something that isn't right? And so it's quite funny because I went and spoke to like, the leader, Linda, at the time, and was like, oh, Linda, like, Helena just prayed for me. I think my leg's better. And she's like, really? and it just kept walking. And I was like, no, I think this is a big moment. Like, I think this is like a big thing. And so, and everyone, you know, Helena was kind of like, oh yeah, like, no, like, I think, yeah. And so I don't think it had, it was like, it's not something that she hadn't seen before. And so she wasn't kind of like blown away by it. Linda, I think, was kind of occupied with, okay, I'm leading the team. This is where we got to go. So sorry, Justin, my mind's in a different space. And I was kind of just following. We had a bit of a walk from like where we were going to, from the station to where we were going to dance. And so I remember doing the whole thing, being like, I'm pretty sure it's feeling better, you know, like, and so yeah, we danced, and we actually got to connect with people on that day because we danced out in the front of the Coliseum, and when you go to the Coliseum, there's quite a line of people to get in there, and yeah, so a number of other crazy things followed that day, and so it was just, I suppose, a day where God's touch and his favor was on it, and but for me the impact was, it was like it was a ripple effect. More specifically around this, like God saying, I really take seriously this dance thing that you know, that I've given you this gift of dance, and I yeah, that's something that he wanted me to take seriously and to really think about, and the broader impact of how that would impact other people. And so that was the moment. It was a checkpoint, I guess, where I was like, okay. And then I see at that point, I suppose, and like reflecting on that, I looked back at everything like I've spoken about, and everything kind of made a bit more sense. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is kind of building towards something, and it does all matter, and maybe there is kind of a reason for things. And so it's just that, but at the time, it was just, I suppose, it was the next checkpoint. It was a significant one, but it was just another checkpoint.
Right. So
That's very significant. Can I just say that? Like, not many people that get to experience that, and well done to your friend that obeyed and came over and did that for you as well. Yeah. That's awesome.
So at that checkpoint, another significant moment, how did your life change from there, the trajectory of what you were going to do when you came back home?
Yeah, so at that point, I still had one more year of uni to go. So I came back and I decided to go back to Portugal the next year, because they did the mission was in Portugal again. And at the time I was actually like in a long distance relationship from someone from Portugal. So it kind of all made sense. I was like, oh, you know, see her, do the mission trip. Like, it all kind of makes sense, you know, bit of a no, even though it's like on the other side of the world, like it all kind of made sense. So I was like, oh, well, I'll go and do this thing. And at that point I had a bit more of a significant role in the trip. And at that time, it was also, it was, I suppose we'd say, like the call was confirmed, or like at that point it was cemented. Like there was a number of things that happened on that trip, not in terms of that kind of significance, but in terms of using dance to impact other people. And I had a few decisions that I could make around that, and was like, oh, we decided to do this, we'll do this. And on particularly in terms of on the streets, and I was like, nah, this is like definitely something that is totally in my element, more than anything else that I have done before. And so then before I left that time, I decided Freestyle Dance Ministry, it's going to be a thing. I'm going to do it before I talk myself out of it, or someone else tries to talk me out of it. I better just do something before I get home, because I knew that when I was going to go home, you have that time where life hits you, or reality hits you. And I was very aware that was going to happen, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I didn't want to give myself the opportunity to forget about it again, or like to not take it seriously. And so I decided, before I left, it was like, so this is like probably like mid-August 2016, that Freestyle Dance Ministry was going to be a thing, and I didn't know what it was or what it was going to look like. I had hope that it could be something, and that there was something there that had to be used and utilized back in Australia, because I didn't know of anything in Australia at the time. So I came back and ended up working for the Salvation Army initially. Because I just finished uni, and so and obviously like when you start something, or there's no base.
It's a big thing to start something new. I know what that's like. It's a huge thing to do, to start something new. So how does Dan come into this story?
So I think it was it was like 2 or 3 years went by where the ministry was doing things like on occasionally Friday nights, And I, at that kind of 6 months in, formally became a ministry of OM Australia. So the people I went overseas with to Portugal. And a part of what OM does is they do an event called Teen Street, which is also like a camp, like Christian Life Week, but on a bigger scale, I guess. And it was in Brisbane. And so naturally, part of being OM, doing a bit of a dance thing, went to Teen Street to do a bit of a dance thing. And Dan was also helping out at Teen Street, and Dan was from Adelaide. He'd flown up. And so I'd come from Melbourne, Dan come from Adelaide. And it was in between one of the main just talk sessions. Dan just started dancing, kind of formed his own dance circle. And I had a few Yui Boom speakers that were out. And I remember like watching Dan dance and thinking, one of my first thoughts were that it was very original. You know, I've never really seen anyone dance like Dan.
Yeah.
And but it was kind of captivated by his energy and just his lack of inhibition, I guess, to just want to do something. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I suppose and then followed by, I think, going into the dance circle and just to show him that you're not alone. I'm a dancer too. So like, you know, I'll support you in this. And, we'll just have this random kind of like, flash mob almost kind of thing happening. And then I think, we just naturally got talking afterwards. And I mean, there's a lot of people, once again, 600 people here. So we were both, connected with other circles, but just introduce each other and encourage each other in dance and faith. And then a couple of years later, reconnected.
So good. Well, you guys are on the road and you work together. We've heard a bit of Dan's story, and it's just so good to hear the background to what you do. Freestyle Dance is your ministry. You're in schools and different things. You're heading out to, around the different states on the road. Before we go, though, as we close, and we're going to have a few dance moves very soon. If you had one piece of advice, Justin, to give to our listeners and viewers today, what would that be?
I suppose if you're listening and watching today, I suppose one thing that I've realized is that faith and what you build your life on is very important. And I suppose if you haven't thought about it before, I would definitely encourage you to think about it. And if you're watching this and you're alone, or some point of the day you're alone, I encourage you just to say something like, hey God, if you're real, just show yourself to me in a way that I can understand, and just give it a shot. Don't be afraid to do that, and just to throw it out there. I think because when I look back, it's something that has greatly impacted everything and still does. So would definitely encourage people to think about it and to seek that out if it's something they haven't before.
Excellent.
That's excellent. Thank you, Justin. Our podcast and radio listeners are going to be leaving us now, so you can catch up with Life Burst wherever you get your podcasts from, and on YouTube and Facebook as well. But for everyone else, we're going to continue on to do some dance. I'm really looking forward to this. Welcome back to Life Burst, and we're outside now. And I'm still with Justin and Dan, and they're going to be teaching all of us some really simple dance moves that you can apply in your own life. Okay, take it away.
So here we go. The first move before we start any workshop is to put your arms out.
Okay.
This serves two purposes. Make sure we've got enough space, but also to get a little bit excited. What we do is we cross our arms, and on count of 3 we say, oh yeah. Very important, yes.
Okay.
It's also good to buddy up as well, so you can with someone close by. That, So on the count of 3, we'll and then we'll get started. So 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's too fast. That's okay.
That's the one. So the first one we can do, it's a bit of a top rock 2-step. So you bring it out, arms of the eagle, put your toe out front. That's the one, and you can. That's right. So you step it out once. And then you bring it in, and then you step it out again to the left.
Okay, what's this one called?
This is your basic top rock. Break dance. Yeah, a bit of break dance.
Top rock. Just for the people who are watching. Top rock.
You're rocking on top. You're standing up.
Okay, you're gonna have to go slow.
So you bring it out to the right, bring it out to the left, bring it out. That's the one. So that's our break dance top rock. Another one we like to do is the shopping bags.
Okay.
So what you do is pick up the shopping bags on the right side. So you go. And then put them down again, and then do it one more time. There's a few more than we were expecting.
Okay.
So you can bop it twice. 1, 2, and then you can grab the shopping bags on the left. 1, 2, like that.
Okay.
That's another one we like to do. Another one is called the clothesline. Take the clothes off the line, put them in the washing basket.
Okay.
So what you do is grab the clothes on the line and then throw them into the washing
Is that how you do your washing?
That's how we do it, yeah.
Is that how you do actual washing at home, Justin?
Scientifically proven to speed up washing by approximately 20 to 30 seconds.
Does that mean that all your clothes are ripped sometimes when you take them off the line like that?
Yeah, you
Like-
don't want to like pin them too
And you just
too
pull them
tightly.
off?
So
Okay.
you're up and then you're down, you're up and then you're down, and then you throw them all around. So that's the washing basket.
Okay. Can we like start again and go a bit slower?
Oh,
It's
yeah,
going
sure.
really fast.
Sure.
Let's do this again. Okay, first one
Yeah,
is called the
top rock.
top rock.
Yeah,
Okay, what's
top
the
rock
top
now.
rock?
So you gotta throw those arms out. That's the one. Bit of a top rock step. Yep. And then we can do the shopping bags.
Okay, shopping bags.
Shopping bags in.
So like that.
2, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, and one more. 1, 2, and then we can bring the washing off the line.
The washing off the line.
That's the one.
I feel like it's ripping the washing off the line. Oh, we go the other side. Okay.
Yes. So you start on the left.
Oh, that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you put it down. On the
I'm
right.
not moving my feet. Okay, how are you doing your feet? How are you
Oh
doing your
yeah,
feet?
so that's a bit of a feet tip. So
Yep.
your arms are up here, and then your foot kind of comes behind your right foot.
So
your
the left foot
So, yeah,
behind.
adds a bit of style to the effect.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And then you put your right arm, your hands up here,
Yep.
and then you down the hill.
Okay, let's try that one again, a bit slower. So,
You go arms up,
arms up.
and then you go behind, and then you put your arms up on the right side.
Yep.
And then throw it to the left.
Okay, let's do that one again.
Yeah,
This one's it's a little bit more tricky. People have problems with coordination.
that's right.
Okay,
Arms are up,
up.
and then you into the washing basket.
Yep.
Up the side of the washing line. That's right. That's the one.
Okay. That's
It's another one. What is another one? Oh, you can always do the old school brush to the shoulder.
okay.
So your right arm, left shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of a brush to the shoulder. And then what's another one? We do dancing Dan. We also like to do the so once you got the shopping,
Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah.
We always like to think of it as story. Those helps you remember.
Yeah.
And what you can do is you can open the door. So what you do is your left arm comes out, you open the door, so you step to the right and then you put the shopping down.
Is that like because you're putting the shopping inside your house, or?
Pretty
Exactly.
much. That's right.
Good. Okay. Because we just haven't put the shopping in the car.
That's right. Oh, we skipped that part.
Okay. Got home somehow. That's fine. Doesn't matter.
Well, speaking of cars, we also got that one too.
Okay. Is a car one?
Yeah, there's car one. Yeah.
Okay. Is that just called the car one, or
Yeah.
you guys got a name
Sometimes
for
you
it?
can like add the whip name, so you can
Oh,
grab the steering wheel and reverse it. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one too.
Okay.
So-
Can we go back and do the first ones and go all the way through?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we started with the
Go
started with the top
slowly.
rock.
Go
Yeah.
slowly.
Start with the top rock.
I'm already forgetting.
So you step your right foot and you bring it to the left.
Yeah.
Do 4 of those. 2, 3, 4.
That's it.
Yeah, and then we did the shopping bags. So bring on the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and then so we can continue the story. Let's put the shopping bags down. So you put your left arm out. Yeah. Bring it around.
Yep.
Put the shopping down. Woo! Chop. Do 4 of those. 2,
No. I d-
3, and then 4. Yeah, that's the one. What else do we do? Oh, brush the shoulder. So job well done.
This is a lot to take
yeah.
in, everybody. I'm just saying.
So let's take in. Yeah. So you brush the shoulder,
Yeah.
and then because it's a job well done, we finish with the oh yeah. So you
But
put
we
your
haven't done
arms
the
out.
car yet.
Oh yeah, okay.
You
we can
missed the
drive.
car one.
Did we forget something? We forgot some shopping. So
The-
get in the car, and then reverse. Like that. There you go. Thanks for dancing with us.
Yeah.
Freestyle Dance Ministry.
and
If
you
you're shopping today, hope it helps. That's right. Or if you're at home doing the washing, may it inspire you to keep washing. Thanks, guys.
Okay, I think
Domestic
Matt needs to
dancing.
come in so that we can do the oh yeah together. Come on.
Yeah, here we
You
go.
can't get out. You can get out of everything else, but
So
not
you guys
this.
can buddy up with your oh yeah, and Dan and I will buddy up.
Okay.
So
You got to teach him how to do it.
so your arms are out. You 1, 2, 3, and you. That's the one. Yeah. On the
You
count
got
of
to
3.
say it.
We're ready. We're ready. 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah.
This has been Life Bursts.
You can catch up with us wherever you get your podcast from, and on YouTube and Facebook as well. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Matt. Thanks for joining us.
Life Bursts is hosted by Matthew Karat and Sarah Freeman, with production by Reese Jarrett and Kay Hoshraw Ozadigan, with additional assistance by Brett Freeman. For more episodes of Life Bursts, go to rawcut.com.au. This is a RawCut production.